You better not be sleeping on the Michigan Wolverines. If you were, well, the alarm clock's going off. It's time to wake up because they absolutely took it to Penn State yesterday in Ann Arbor. 41-17 was the final score. And we've talked a lot about Michigan and the level of competition they play. That's great. You went and beat Iowa to Iowa. It's not a small feat, but you took care of business. That's great. You were favored. Cool. You beat Maryland. Maryland's got some talented players. Awesome. Congratulations. What happens when you play one of the big boys, though? Well, on Separation Saturday, they took a number 10 ranked Penn State program to the absolute woodshed. And there's a couple of takeaways we got from this game. But again, stop sleeping on Michigan. If you were, I got bad news for you. Time to wake up. The old formula for Michigan, guess what? It works. It works just fine. The way they used to run the football and play phenomenal defense, I say used to as in 2021, they still do that. They still do that really well. The scary part is they're still refining the new formula. J.J. McCarthy, he's playing quarterback there for a reason. He offers a lot with his legs. He offers you more with his arm than you had a season ago. No knocking Cade McNamara. That process is still underway. He's still going to get better. Didn't have a bad day yesterday, 17 for 24. No touchdowns, interception that was a little bit fluky. We'll let it slide. His best football still ahead of him. He's still a young quarterback learning how to be a starting quarterback. He's going to get better, but until he reaches maximum capacity or a place where they feel they can hand more to his plate, Michigan's able to just play bully ball. Now, what is bully ball? You know what I'm talking about. There's that kid on the playground. He's probably got a mustache and BO in the 6th grade. And he's just bigger than you. He's stronger than you, maybe more athletic than you. And he lets you know about it. In his mentality, he's a bully. He takes all of his attributes that he has that are superior to you, and he imposes them on you in the most brutal way possible. We'll start with the front seven. On defense, Sean Clifford had a 62-yard run, and Penn State ran the ball for 111 yards. I mean, do I need to say a whole lot more? That Michigan front seven that lost to NFL edge rushers, that replaced a whole lot of guys on that side of the football, they were getting after it consistently yesterday. And you saw them continue to take it to Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, Sean Clifford. They played nasty all game long. On the offensive side, that formula last year, like we talked about, bully ball, still very much in effect. Edwards and Corum, both well over 150 yards. They ran for 418 yards on the ground. I can't express how difficult it is to throw for 400 yards. To run for 418 yards is a difficult feat, and they made it look seamless. Now, I will say this. Having J.J. McCarthy in the football game amplifies some of the things you're able to do on the run. Because when J.J. McCarthy carries out his fake, we saw it a couple times. I think we saw it on Corum's run. His long one that he broke, that safety came down to play J.J. McCarthy. And when he did that, because you have to do that with a 4-5 quarterback, who runs a 4-5 rather, Blake Corum took off, and there was so much space from what that safety had left vacated trying to defend J.J. It just continues to prove why he's in the game. So the old formula works just fine. The new one's underway. The old one works pretty well too. You got to see Michigan take a punch. We talked about the pick six. At that point in time, there was a tweet we had going back and forth. One of the friends of our program, AYS, on Twitter, just tweeted at him and said, we're about to find out a whole lot about Michigan right now. At that point, they were down 14-6. Believe they were up 16-14 at half. And we found out about them, all right. Saw them get squeezed a little bit. Young quarterback, their back against the wall. All they did, won the second half 25-3. Just absolutely imposed their will on that Penn State football team. That front seven never let Penn State get bounced. That was the fact of the matter. They never allowed them to get comfortable. And while J.J. McCarthy was getting his feet under him, while there were still things they were trying to get corrected on offense, that Michigan defense that has so much new personnel with a bright light on them, with a big moment, the first big moment they really had, let's call it what it is, in the majority of this young season, they didn't faint at the moment of truth. It's one thing to do it as a backup. I know a lot of these guys have seen field action, but for them to do it in that moment told me a lot about this program. They got some grit to them now. They can take a punch. And I tell you what, they can deliver a punch or two back, and we saw them do it on multiple occasions yesterday. So here's my biggest takeaway. On a separation Saturday from Michigan, they separated. Like, they just did what I think, wanted to see them do yesterday. Passed that test with flying colors. They're on a crash course to play Ohio State. Now, you can't overlook any of the Saturdays. I'm not saying Michigan's going to run the table the rest of the way. I'm just saying with this formula they have implemented right now and the one they're developing, they're capable. Because they took the number 10 team in the country and absolutely drug them out to the woodshed. That is a real thing. That is a thing that's going to translate the rest of the way. So the old formula, trench warfare, still works just fine. It was a statement Saturday, rather, from Michigan saying, yeah, we're one of the top teams still in the Big Ten. And quite frankly, the gap's pretty wide. Hate to say it if I'm a Penn State fan, but that's the way it goes. You're going to have to talk about Michigan now when it comes to the college football playoff. Just the way it is. They are now a team that you're going to have to consider week in and week out when those rankings come out. When that committee gets into their room, talks about whatever they talk about, strength of schedule, margin of victory, whatever, you now have to talk about Michigan, have to talk about what they did to the top 10 team in the country. All right? Got a feeling now that Michigan's going to continue to trend upward. Because J.J. McCarthy is extremely talented. This defense is still relatively new. But what they did yesterday just is going to boost even more confidence on the defensive side of the ball, especially. Because there was never really any doubt, I don't believe, in that locker room of who they think they are. But to hold one of the best teams in the country, given their ranking, to 17 points, you know how much that boosts you in the locker room? You now believe even more in who you say you are. Rankings are great, stats are great, but to do it on the field for a personnel unit that's relatively new, that's huge. Going back to JJ, he's going to get it. You can see it. You can see it start to click for him at multiple times throughout the game. Yesterday was his first real test. He's going to get it. I truly believe that. He's too talented not to. And when he does, when that new formula is what they're going to consistently, it's going to be scary. Because you're going to have a program that can throw it effectively. I believe that. Have a program that can play bully ball. That defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Michigan is going to be a force to be reckoned with throughout the rest of the college football season. Again, they took it to Penn State yesterday, 41-17 in Ann Arbor. Hail to the victors. That's it for us here on the Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm JD Piquel. Nick Brake does the real heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to this channel. We go live here on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, 3 Central, 4 Eastern. Kick open the door. Live chat is 100% involved in this operation. So make sure you're here with us for that. It's an absolute blast. We're going to run it up. Until then, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.